Hello, viewers. This is Michael from Screen Reviews, bringing you a new podcast from my 7 Super Sentai Review. And like always, I'm going to speak very loudly, very clearly, and very slowly, in case you don't understand me. Also, I'm trying to do my best not to be too hard during our podcast recording as well, not to cause any audio feedback as well. And finally, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will change your job. This audio podcast recording will change your adult language if you're under 18. Once again, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will change your adult language if you're under 18. Now, if you're over 18, that means you have to watch this audio podcast recording. Now, with this and everything else out the way, let's get into the latest episode. Let's get into the latest episode of Gozyuger. So basically, the episode starts off like this. It picks up when the previous episode. Turns out Tega did not return after Tega battled Bedouin. She did retreat, but not back to the #1 world. But somewhere in a big metal clearing somewhere. We see Queen Tega talking to Lady Bouquet and Fire Candle. What the hell? Tega, are you right? Was asking Queen Tega, are you right? Yes, but I don't know what came over me when I was fighting Bedouin. So basically, I had a certain urge after what happened to Bedouin and whatnot. I had this weird, at that moment I had this weird urge to when Bedouin appeared, I had this certain urge to stop him and whatnot. So basically, I know that the catechism. The catechism. I know the catechism. I know that the catechism will try to destroy this universe. So basically, I get my best to try to stop Bailey at the time. So basically, he said you need to return back to the #1 world by me, while Falcon and Lady Bouquet, look for Mr. Shining Eyes and the Sweet Cake. And so basically, a group of Belfi's foot soldiers, Aries foot soldiers showed up and made a circle around Tega because she was too weak after the battle to open up a portal back to the #1 world. So basically, a whole group of Aries foot soldiers surrounded Tega and opened a portal, and therefore, and open a portal back to the #1 world, and to Tega can recover. Meanwhile, things are not. Meanwhile, we see how comes downstairs to the cafe from his apartment, and basically, we see Ryoga, with his Tegasaur shrine, praying all loud, what the hell, Ryoga, what the hell. So basically, Ryoga said, I'm jealous of. I'm praying that I get the chance to. It's not fair. I'm praying that that you're able to use the real sword to combine with the Tega sword and whatnot. So basically, I'm hoping that I will get the same chance and whatnot. So basically, I was like, okay, that's understandable. But how it's like, okay, how we. How Yoga is, he's definitely a deep supporter of Tegasort and whatnot, etc. Anyway, Kenshin came in with some invitations for Ryoga and Hal that Rio is inviting them over to a big dinner today and whatnot. So basically, So basically, they went over to Ryoga house for a big, to a big dinner, like or like during a big dinner at his house. So basically, Ryoga has a nice house, somewhere in like a nice house out in like a nice house somewhere like maybe near the suburbs or some shit like that, whatever. So basically the Rangers showed up, the Rangers showed up and basically like it seems like some didn't want it to come, but like the reason why Ryoga is doing this party because to get everybody in the right mindset to battle Benamir again and whatnot, and his friend Ray, who's being possessed by Benamir, the general of the catechism and whatnot. So anyway, so basically the Rangers. While the Rangers were all partying up were all partying at Rico's house. Meanwhile, we see Shining Eyes walking towards this abandoned house somewhere, and basically Miss Sweetcake is still unconscious. She has not woken up ever since Mr. Shining Knife was taking got controlled by Benamir and whatnot. So basically, we see Fire Candle, we see Fire Candle and Lady Bouquet outside the house, we came to help you. So basically, we know about your situation and whatnot, so basically it doesn't matter. You're still one of us. We don't care. You used to work for that cataclysm being and whatnot. That cataclysm being and that Benamir. So basically, gays guys, but I managed to trace the. So basically, I managed to trace Betamir's energy here to this abandoned house. So basically, turns out that the abandoned house is where Ray is keeping Odo in that chamber and whatnot. And basically, so basically they bust into the house and basically, so basically, Benjamin was talking to Ray, I know that Fire Candle is still a very warrior, so basically, I don't want to destroy if I have to. I don't want you to destroy him. I want him destroyed. If I don't have any choice. So basically, Benjamin is telling Ray, hey, Mr. Shining Knight is a very it's a powerful warrior and whatnot. So basically, I don't want him to destroy it unless he has to destroy him. So basically, Ray and Ray, came out in his little lab and basically, hey, you guys, you came here to fight, and basically Benedict took over and basically summoned some foot soldiers to fight against Fire Candle, Lady Bouquet, and Mr. Shining Eyes. And their every foot soldiers and whatnot. So basically, it turns out that Benamir has his own foot soldiers and whatnot. So basically, a sick-ass fight between foot soldiers and a crazy-ass fight broke out in this abandoned house and whatnot. So anyway, so basically, Fire Candle, Lady Bouquet, and Shining were able to take down the foot soldiers and whatnot, and basically started to fight against Benamir. So basically, Benjamin was, Benjamin was like, Benjamin was seen like he had the upper hand against them, but, turns out that, Fighter managed to wound Benjamin because since Benjamin is using, Ray's body, that was able to wound him, and basically was able to force Benjamin to retreat and whatnot, whatnot. So anyway, meanwhile, it was later that night, and basically, all the Rangers were sleeping over at Riku's house, and basically Riku was like, this is my opportunity to take care of Ray once and for all. So basically, so the next morning we see Ray, and a bunch of foot soldiers, we see Ray using this dark ring to take people's souls and whatnot. And so basically to power up Ray even more, and basically Riku showed up, and basically he was going to deal with Ray by himself, but the other Rangers we saw right through your facade and whatnot. So basically, no matter what, we understand that you're a friend. You feel like you want to fix your methanol, but we're comrades and friends and whatnot. So basically, we need to work together to take down Ray and Bittermere and whatnot. So basically, they all agreed to work together, and basically the Rangers morphed up, took out the foot soldiers, took out some foot soldiers while they morphed up, and basically we see Prince Asim. So basically, Ray was able to summon Prince Asim and free him from the ring, but he was under control by Ray and Bedemir. So basically, Prince Answer is free. We see Prince Answer again, but this time, Bedemir. This time Ray gives him the power of the Kyuranger ring, and therefore Prince Answer transformed into Sissy Red, the Sissy Red Kyuranger, and starts to fight against the Rangers and whatnot. So basically, fight was breaking out. So basically, how they transform into Tegazord Gozyu and whatnot, use the power of the real Tegazord and basically transform into Tegazord, combined with the Tegazord and transform into Tegazord Gozyu and whatnot. So basically, things like and Ray transform into Mecha Red and whatnot, using the power of the Mecha Ring to transform into Mecha Red. So basically, Riku was battling Mecha Red, while the other Rangers were dealing with a brain control Prince Asim, who has the power of the Kyuranger Ring and whatnot. So anyway, so basically, Riku meant to force Ray to transform from Magic Red, and basically he was about to he's pleading him there's a way to help you. You're being this is your last chance. Let me help you. Let me set things right, and basically, etc., etc. But Ray said it's too late for me. So basically, it's too late for me and whatnot. So basically, Riku was about to finish off a defenseless, a defenseless Ray, but some is like, no, wait, I know he kidnapped my sister and all, and he done some terrible things, but and he doesn't deserve to go out like this. So basically, you should help him, but he should pay for his crimes by the law. So basically, Riku was gave something for reminding her there's some good in Ray and whatnot, and that's when Benjamin took control of Ray, and basically things start to went to bad to worse. So anyway. So basically, with the help of how they managed to take the Sentai wings that that Ray and Benjamin had, and therefore the control over Prince Ashton was gone. So basically, Bellamy and Ray didn't control. So basically, they used the power of the Gozyuger rings to take the rings from the wings that that Bellamy and Ray had, and therefore freeing Prince Ashton from the control of Bellamy and Ray. So basically, once that was done, how gave him the power of the real Tegazord, and how and basically and Riku transformed into his Tegazord Gozyu Leo form, and basically working together the team. How transformed into his wild form, and basically some transform and use the power of the Giga Memory to transform to Giga Red, and basically they was able to separate with a little help from Fire Channels, like tell him that that he's ruined on the torso, of Benamir, that's your best shot. So basically with a little helpful device from Fire Channel, they was able to separate, they was able to support the wound, and basically was able to separate Ray from Benamir and whatnot. So basically, once Benamir was separated, Benamir made himself grow, and basically, that's when Hal took back the Tegazord, the real Tegazord, and basically summoned the giant Tegazord and the real giant real Tegazord, and combined them together to form the real Tegazord Mecha. And basically, with this new combination, they was able to destroy Benamir once and for all. And he said that even though it's your you defeated me, but sooner or later the cataclysm will come back, and the fate of beings in this world is already set in stone. And basically, Benedict was defeated and destroyed, and basically, Odo got her sister back. Odo went back to the house to get her sister back out of that pod. As for Mr. Shiny Eyes, so basically we see Mr. Shiny Eyes, talking to Miss Bouquet, and basically, Miss Sweetcake woke up, and basically they was happy that, Mr. Shiny Eyes was happy that, that Miss Sweetcake woke up and whatnot. She was happy. No, Mr. Shiny Eyes was happy that Miss Sweetcake woke up and whatnot, and basically they were happy together and whatnot. But she didn't remember anything after she, after she felt unconscious and whatnot. Anyway, meanwhile, we see Rico, visiting Ray in prison. So basically, Ray is, it's been charged for kidnapping, Odo, and his sister and whatnot. So he's in jail, and basically, Riku was like, Riku was like, everything turned out to the best. So basically, like, I hope that one day, once I get out of here, once I spend my time, I hope that, I get the chance to see you in person and whatnot. And basically, like, you and me will always be friends, no matter what. So basically, the episode ended with 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 Ray talking to with Ray talking to Riku in prison. Ray's in prison now, and he promised him once he get out, he will see Riku perform live, perform live in concert once he get out, from serving his prison sentence for kidnapping Oda and whatnot, and basically that's how the episode ended on this note. So anyway, this episode, this episode had a very happy ending for it did end it happy for most of the characters in the series. But it was a good episode. So anyway, what do you guys think about the latest episode of Gozyuger? Good, bad, or just okay? Please let me know in the comments below. Anyway, signing off for School Reviews 1.